like to call the meeting to order. Mrs. Burns, roll call.
Mr. Sullivan?
Present.
Mrs. Hallenbeck?
Present.
Mr. Allen is absent with prior notice. Mrs. Brochus?
Here.
Mrs. Lafferty?
Here.
Mrs. Marshall?
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Here.
Mr. Sporny?
Here.
And Mrs. Waldbeiser are also absent with prior notice. We have a quorum.
The board met in executive session this evening prior to this meeting to discuss matters relating to labor relations, employment, and confidential student placement. Mrs. Burns, any announcements?
No announcements.
Mr. Bowman, superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Tomorrow night is the first of our middle school musical opening at Pequessing Middle School. Pequessing presents The Drowsy Chaperone Jr. It's a comical take on Broadway hits from 1920s and 1930s and features some terrific costumes and dance numbers. The show will be presented Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday evening with a Saturday matinee. Tickets can be purchased online at the Pequessing website. Maple Point and Carl Sandburg musicals are coming up in March. Last week, our Neshaminy District Honors and Junior Honors Orchestra and Band held their concerts here at Maple Point. They've been attending practices for weeks to prepare for their concerts, and we congratulate them for this achievement and for all their hard work. And we'd also like to thank their families for supporting the young musicians here in Neshaminy. Also, congratulations to the Neshaminy Minithon participants who raised $46,842 to support the Four Diamonds Foundations on Friday, February 9th. The entire school helped with a day full of in-school fundraisers, including a very sloppy one in the hub when Mr. Garska very good-naturedly agreed to receive a pie in the face if the students met a fundraising goal, which they most certainly did. Some good news from our high school sports teams. The girls basketball team won their Suburban 1 League championship last week against Upper Dublin 35-22. And in junior bowling, junior Zach Pfeiffer bowled not one, but two perfect 300 games during a match against William Tennant High School. Congratulations to him for this truly unusual and outstanding feat. Finally, the high school added another name to the 1,000-point club. Senior basketball player Nate Townsend becomes the 6th Neshaminy player to achieve this goal. We congratulate Nate and all of our winter athletes who are having a very productive season. And finally, we are just 10 days away from Gym Night 2024. Practices and preparations are well underway. This year's theme, Are We There Yet? A road to destinations all across the country. We're looking forward to seeing what red and blue teams come up with for this one. So always a great time at Neshaminy High School, and probably one of the hardest tickets to get in all of Pennsylvania is Saturday night Gym Night tickets. So looking forward to seeing everybody there. That's all I have, Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Bowman. Mrs. Burns, anyone signed up for public
There were no
comment?
sign-ups.
Thank you. Anyone forget to sign up? The one to approach the podium? Okay. That brings us to routine matters. I'd like to make a master motion to approve item 2.01 minutes, 2.02 treasurer's reports, 2.03 check register and procurement card purchases, 2.04 budget transfers, 2.05 investments, 2.06 exonerations. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Hollenbeck. Comments, questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Mrs. Lafferty.
Personnel, I'd like to make a master motion. 3.01, retirements, resignations, end of assignments. 3.02, appointments. 3.03, leaves of absence. And 3.04, co-curricular appointments.
We have a motion on the floor. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rodriguez. Comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. 3.05, Ms. Brochus.
I would like to make a motion on 3.05, substitute rates of pay, whereas the Neshaminy School District is one of the 13 districts in Bucks County that utilizes ESS as the provider for substitute teachers. And whereas it is important to the position, the district competitively in this marketplace in order to meet the educational needs of our students, now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the following new per diem rates effective February 21st, 2024. Daily substitute teacher, $125. Long-term teacher administered on the 21st day of the assignment, $170. And building-based teachers, $160.
One motion on the floor, can I get a second? Second by Mr. Rodriguez. Comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Mrs. Hollenbeck.
I'd like to make a master motion. 4.01, retirements, resignations, end of assignments. 4.02, appointments. 4.03, leaves of absence. And 4.04, ancillary appointments.
We have a motion on the floor. Can I get a second?
Second?
Second by Mrs. Lafferty. Comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Mrs. Hollenbeck, Business Operations.
I'd like to make a master motion for 5.01, Berkheimer confidentiality resolution, and 5.02, Sunday facility usage.
There's a motion on the floor. Can I get a second? Second by Mrs. Brochus. Any comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Educational Development, Mr. Rodriguez.
I'd like to make a master motion for 6.01 Student Settlement Agreement, 6.02 Overnight Trips, 6.03 the 2024-2025 Student School Year Calendar.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Marshall. Comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. 6.04. Kellen, Mr. Sporny? Forgot
I'd like to make a motion 6.04, reaffirm COVID-19 health and safety plan. Whereas the Neshaminy School District is required by the U.S. Department of Education to approve a health and safety plan. Now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby reaffirms the Neshaminy School District Health and Safety Plan as presented, subject to any changes necessary due to conditions and additional guidance from the applicable government agencies, with one file attached.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Lafferty. Comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Mrs. Marshall.
I'd like to make a motion 6.05 BCIU number 22, 2024 to 25 Program and Services and Instructional Materials and Research Services budget. Whereas the Neshaminy School District is one of the 13 school districts in Bucks County that utilizes the services of the Bucks County Intermediate Unit number 22, and whereas the Neshaminy School District contributes to the support of the Bucks County Intermediate Unit, and whereas the school code requires that the intermediate unit budget be presented and acted upon by the Board of School Directors, now therefore be it resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the Bucks County Intermediate Unit programs and services and instructional materials and research services budget for 2024 to 2025 in the amount of $2,404,997, with our district share to be $112,967 at an increase of $3,733.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Rodriguez. Comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. That brings us to the closing of the meeting. Does anyone have any other board business they would like to discuss? All right, that brings us to the second public comment period. Going once. Okay. All right, that brings us to board comment. Anyone have anything they want to comment on? I do have one thing that I wanted to make mention of, that I just want to mention that the Neshaminy cheerleaders, over the last couple of weeks, they became the suburban one league champs. They qualified for the state, and they were semifinalists for the nationals that were just recently held in Orlando. So I just wanted to congratulate them and their coaches for a good season. And with that, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Anyone opposed? All right. Have a good night.